With just an hour of practice before qualifying, track time around the famous Monza circuit was crucial. The chicanes proved problematic for some, defending champion Lewis Hamilton skipping the bends at Variante della Roggia and Lando Norris cutting the corners at Variante Rettifilo. The tricky turn one also saw Sebastian Vettel locking up his Aston Martin. The German scored his maiden Grand Prix victory here back in 2008, driving for Toro Rosso. Red Bull's junior team scored another famous victory here 12 months ago, when Pierre Gasly came home in front for an emotional win in his AlphaTauri. Track limits could play a part this weekend. Both Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and Mick Schumacher of Haas with all four wheels over the white line at Parabolica in first practice. Any driver doing that in qualifying will have both their current and subsequent lap times deleted. Leclerc's teammate Carlos Sainz also flirted with the margins, the Spaniard's undercarriage lighting up the curbs. George Russell has been confirmed as a Mercedes driver for next season. The 23-year-old will join seven-time world champion Hamilton as F1 begins its hotly anticipated new era of regulations. Valtteri Bottas will move to Alfa Romeo in 2022, the Flying Finn replacing compatriot Kimi Räikkönen, who recently announced his intention to retire at the end of the season. Robert Kubica again sitting in for the COVID quarantining Iceman this weekend and ending up a respectable P16. Good news also for Yuki Tsunoda. The Japanese driver has been retained by AlphaTauri for 2022. The rookie with safety on his mind as he started his weekend.
I have to pit because seatbelt loose. Seatbelt take it off. Seatbelt is okay.
If it is okay, we stay out, Yuki. Please confirm.
Yeah, all good, all good.
Copy that.
Slipstream at Monza is said to be worth as much as 0.7 of a second per lap. But as the final minutes ticked away and the teams donned the red-ringed soft tyres, traffic caused problems. Esteban Ocon made his displeasure clear, the Frenchman feeling he was hampered by Hamilton, although the Briton was being backed up by Ocon's Alpine teammate Fernando Alonso. And it was Hamilton who took the fastest lap of the session, a 1 minute 20.926 on the medium tyres. Current championship leader Max Verstappen managed to split the two Mercedes, but the Dutchman was nearly half a second back on the softs. Bottas was P3, Lance Stroll an impressive fourth at a track where he always excels, with Gasly edging Vettel for fifth. Carlos Sainz P7, Alonso P8, then Daniel Ricciardo ninth. The Honey Badger looking to bounce back after McLaren's off weekend at Zandvoort last time out. Red Bull's Sergio Perez rounded out the top 10. 2019 Monza winner Charles Leclerc was 11th, Lando Norris P12, Antonio Giovinazzi ahead of Tsunoda and Ocon, with Kubica just behind. The Williams pairing of Russell and Nicholas Latifi was 17th and 18th respectively, and Mazepin winning the Haas bragging rights in the opening session of what will be the fastest weekend of the season.
Welcome to Manage WordPress, hosted by GoDaddy. It's the simplest solution for rolling out and
go then, time to kickstart your weekend with a little bit of qualifying action on a Friday evening. Yes, it's all changed around this weekend ahead of the Italian Grand Prix because we've got sprint qualifying to come tomorrow. Tonight though, it's the normal qualifying session to form the grid for the sprint qualifying race that we'll see in the afternoon. And this weekend, Formula One will see the return of that sprint format, which made its debut at Silverstone earlier this season. Lewis Hamilton won qualifying on the Friday. Max Verstappen went on to take the sprint. Hamilton's pole position time last year here is an all-time fastest lap in F1 history, an average speed of just over 164 miles an hour. They call this the Temple of Speed, and with all good reason. 3.6 miles long. There are 2 DRS zones, a top speed of about 225 miles an hour with DRS. Rubens Barrichello with the race lap record, and there are 11 corners, 4 to the left and 7 to the right. The run down to the first chicane is always a bit harum-scarum, and this is Pierre Gasly getting squeezed a little bit by the Racing Point and Alex Albon, who went off into the runoff area. 2012, Sebastian Vettel picked up a drive-through penalty for this. Fernando Alonso pushed onto the grass in what was quite an epic tussle between the two drivers. And let's go back to last year's race, to the Ascari chicane. Restart on lap 28. You've got Carlos Sainz and you've got Lance Stroll battling away. Both will eventually finish on the podium. The tyres for this weekend, right in the middle of the Pirelli range, and it is the soft C4 tyre that has to be used during qualifying, up to a maximum of 5 sets. Don't expect to see, and you won't see, the medium or the hard for this session. So, Friday evening, Martin Brundle, it's all a little bit different. We've had 1 hour of practice. It's not going to be enough for the teams, but who looks in the best shape?
First blood to Mercedes-Benz, but I don't think you can read anything at all into free practice 1 this morning. Luckily it was dry, so they got quite a bit of representative running in to understand what kind of wing level. Key things here, obviously VMAX, top speed, very good and stable under braking, and they need some good single wheel travel because they like to bump over the curbs to carry a little bit more minimum apex speed through the chicane. So you ask quite a lot of a car here, but it's not really, there's only 11 turns. It's not really a complex racetrack per se, but it's a very specific track. Yeah,
there's not many corners, but you have to get them right, because every time you get it wrong, you're a sitting duck down the straight. Certainly the Ascari chicane, we saw the cars banging the entry curve there, and then riding it, waiting for the car to settle, then getting on the power as soon as they can.
Yeah, absolutely, and traction's very important too, but people often say to me, look, I don't understand it. You talk about a slipstream, a tow being really helpful, and then you talk about cars not being able to follow each other and losing time. So the key element is you've got to be close enough, and this is what we're going to be seeing, teammates trying to help each other out. Lewis Hamilton's got the choice this weekend. Mercedes-Benz, does he follow his teammate? Well, surely he will. So if you can keep 3 or 4 seconds behind, as that car in front is punching a big hole in the air and reducing the drag on your car, you get a help down the straights, but you're far enough behind that it doesn't hurt you too much in the corners. So getting the right distance is important. But of course, if you then catch a car in the race and get right underneath his gearbox, the gearbox being right at the back of these cars, then you start losing downforce. You want to lose downforce going down the straight. Lose downforce, you lose drag, you go faster. So it does work in both respects. You've got to be exactly the right distance behind.
The key thing being that the teams had a lot less time to perfect that tow or even practicing it this weekend than they would have done in the past. We'd have gone into qualifying last year off the back of 3 practice sessions, so 4 hours of practice on the track. This year, because of the sprint being here, they've only had the 1 hour to try and practice it. Just a half a point needed for Lewis Hamilton to become the first driver ever to reach 4,000 Formula One career points. And I know you're all shouting, yes, Crofty, but they've changed the points and you get more for it in this day and age. It's still quite a feat, 4,000 points in Formula One. And Max Verstappen, the key for him at the moment is that he's 3 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the championship. He's taken 6 of the last 7 pole positions, but it's not pole we're going for tonight. It's the honour to start the sprint at the front and then try and get pole by winning the race. Monza, very much the place to be. Passion at its best, says the signs, Ted Kravitz. I don't see you getting any more excited throughout this season than you do here at Monza. What a time to be alive, eh?
Andy, hello Martin, hello everybody. It normally takes till Sunday when you get the passion of the crowd, but I tell you, the DJ Giorgio has been taking notes from DJ Bingo at Zandvoort and has come here and is pumping out the beats, as you can probably hear in the background.
Hey, there's a party in Milan tonight where DJ Kravitz is actually DJing.
Really? What,
yes.
Cousin Lenny? Or?
Yeah, no.
Who?
It's a lady DJ called DJ Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz, his daughter?
Something like that, I don't know.
Well, good, all right.
I've got an invite if you want to go.
Keep it in the family. But yeah, so we have a green light, and the 50% crowd is sort of responding, sort of. But the drivers, I feel, have we have a Ferrari straight out. Okay, yeah, on the two of them. Excellent, good crowd-pleasing Italian teams there, because there is a lot of sporting attention on Italy, isn't there, Crofty? A lot of Olympic rings you see around town, around Milan. Of course, they have the 100 metres Olympic champion in Marcel Jacobs, don't they? And there was a certain football competition, which I believe Italy did quite well in. I've pretty much blanked it from my memory.
Yeah, it's other penalties we're focusing on for the next hour, Ted.
Exactly. But there is an expectation on Ferraris. There always is. They're downplaying their expectations, but as that young chap might hope for, I think they secretly think they can get inside the top 6. We'll see. An interesting qualifying session.
Yes, and track limits always to be obeyed here around Monza, turn 1 and 2, into the first chicane, and then to the Della Roggia chicane, the second one as well, and the outside of Parabolica, not the outside of the Ascari chicane. They're not looking at that, according to the race director's event notes that we've seen so far. So if you're new to Formula 1 and the qualifying format, we lose the bottom 5 from each of the first 2 sessions, and then the top 10 go for the honour to go and win qualifying, and Charles Leclerc has done that on a couple of occasions during the course of this season, and boy would he be a very happy man and have a lot of very happy friends if he could get that a little bit later on today. But it really should be between Mercedes and Red Bull, but Max Verstappen looked like he had his engine turned down a bit in practice, Martin. He was about 8 kilometres slower down the straights.
Yes, they're trying to eke the power units out, of course. They're allowed 3 before they take a penalty. And we think, we're pretty sure actually, that both Hamilton and Verstappen will have to take that penalty at some point. Some talk it might even be this weekend, although I think Red Bull will stretch it and put the power unit in later in the year.
That's a good distance for a tow there, by the way. We just saw Sainz in the distance going through the Parabolica.
Looks about right, doesn't it? So 2 DRS zones here, down to pit straight, and after the second Lesmo corner, not from Ascari down to Parabolica, interestingly. But yeah, in fact, it looks like he's a bit too far behind, doesn't it? And already then, Mick Schumacher has had his lap deleted at turn 11, so they delete the next lap as well.
That's right.
Because otherwise you can run really wide through the last corner and have a straight line speed advantage, and it's quite a long run from the timing beam down to the first corner. So that is not what you need to be doing on your outlap.
Certainly not. Charles Leclerc continues on his way at 27.2 though. For Nicholas Latifi is the best first sector time that we've had of the 9 or so that are out on the track at the moment. Williams could be quite slippery in a straight line, whether it then has the downforce that you need, the grip that you need through the Lesmo or the Parabolica corners. We will wait and see as Charles Leclerc continues on, gets a little bit of a tow from behind the McLaren of Lando Norris. The Parabolica has been renamed the Alboreto Curve in memory of the late great Michele Alboreto, 3-time race winner with Ferrari, who sadly passed away 20 years ago. And a 1:22.4 for Carlos Sainz gets the benefit of the tow and 3/10 up on his teammate.
Yeah, he did. He looked a long way behind, but he was getting a nice slipstream then, a bit of help from the McLaren as well. So that worked out well. Leclerc really didn't push the track limits at all around Parabolica, the Alboreto curve at the end of the lap. And yeah, that is, there's still plenty of purchase. He's got half a tyre on the serrated curve, but that's a bit too wide there.
Right, here comes Max Verstappen. And his sector time so far, a 27.4 and a 27.5, which is fairly handy. Lando Norris, a couple of tenths up in the first sector.
Is everything fine with the car? In engine braking especially?
I will come back to you.
And Verstappen goes...
Okay, box this lap box.
Goes quickest overall, but Leclerc feels that the brake-by-wire system, the engine braking, not right?
No, it's the engine braking, because when you lift off the throttle, you can fit in your own cars, can't you, to a varying degree. hybrid or motorbike, whatever, get engine with slowing down just by pushing the engine around, and they can adjust that quite nicely actually on our engines.
And this should be a very good lap for Lando Norris, and is by about 0.4 of a second. Now, Ted mentioned that he had a lap time deleted in the practice session that would have put him way further up the order than he was. That's an impressive opening there for Lando Norris. Don't forget, was fastest in the wet in Spa in both Q1 and Q2.
Yeah, he was on for...
But there's something, right? Something felt wrong.
Yeah, we'll solve it. I will explain you in the garage.
They don't want to be broadcasting whatever that was, do they?
Yes, when the rest of the world can't hear, I think would have been the rest of that message. 209 miles an hour through the speed trap then for Lewis Hamilton. Through the Curva Grande we go. Martin, over to you.
Yeah, it's very easy down there now, so you want to do the minimum amount of meters you can get away with without putting any scrub into the car. Pick your braking point, rotate the car, and then really pick up the throttle so early. Lesmore's got a bit of camber on it in your favour. You can really sit the car in and trust the exit of the corner. It's a bit more flat through Lesmo too, but again, plenty of space on the outside. You've got to run out there and keep your minimum apex speed up. Ease it to the right-hand side, under the old banking, into the unsighted Ascari chicane, bump across the curve on the inside, stay away from the rest of the curve. That's a little bit wide in the middle there for Lewis. He'll diagonal this straight now. He'll probably be hunting down a bit of a slipstream. There's really nobody too much in front of him. The two Aston Martins are through Parabolica now, but Hamilton then flying into the Alboreto curve, didn't take too many risks against the track limits, then cuts for the short run to the line, and there we have it. It is a 20.5.
And his teammate Valtteri Bottas with a 20.8, just a bit further ahead up the roads. As Giovinazzi goes third fastest, and now Ricciardo goes third fastest. I think the track is ramping up quite a bit. The more and more cars going around and laying down the rubber, we're seeing lots of guys jumping up the